I want to start by just saying what a gift you are to me, each of you, that the synergy of this class only occurs because you're here, and it wouldn't happen otherwise. And it is a rare life experience where you get to sit with other people and just be together in this way, in this depth, in this fullness, in this expansiveness. Again, where else would you get this? Where else would I get it? So thank you for being here and bringing yourselves to this particular table, because the banquet that gets laid out for us wouldn't be available if you weren't here for it and didn't bring, literally and figuratively, the goodies that you bring to the table. My grandson sang a song to me this week. It went essentially, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merry, 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 life galap-dal-da-deem. And he missed a lot of the main concepts and had no idea that life is but a dream. But he got the idea of it. And my experience this last week was that not only is it a dream, which is something I've believed since I was first singing that song myself, but that it's often what I would call a feverish dream, or a fever dream. So vibrant and perhaps unsettling that it seems almost inescapable. It's almost like the equivalent of an emotional fever, period. Of running a fever, having all the physical symptoms of what it means to be, if you will, sick or out of sorts or not healthy. Of course, the most important thing about fevers is that they're trying to make you healthy, and that they are recognizing parts of you that are not there and need to be balanced, and they will create heat and all sorts of disturbances inside you to rebalance and refocus you. And in a way, fever dreams in the world are not dissimilar to that. And I've found it personally disturbing that I have been so caught up in the fever dream that I would say is perhaps a shared human experience, a collective experience, that we are all, possibly, maybe not all of you, but many of us sharing a kind of dream in which we're looking at the world around us and we're going, what is this? What is this that we're involved in? And it's provoked me a lot. I speak to my friends about it, and I have people in my life who respond differently to the world around us, and the happiest people I know have turned off their televisions, stopped reading the newspaper, have essentially put their hands in the sand and said, I don't need to pay attention to the dream. And I find that kind of interesting, but not my style, or instinct even. And even if I were to do that, what's been happening for me is a kind of sense of the collective consciousness, or maybe you want to call it the collective unconscious, but a sense that the world is swirling through the psychic phenomenon that represents awareness or brain function or consciousness. And so I've been awakened a number of times in the middle of the night with a kind of, is this really happening? What is this? Not liking a lot of what I feel happening, feeling a kind of climactic precipice that I don't want personally or collectively to fall over. I don't want us diving into an abyss. And what I discover every time I am experiencing that is what I would call helplessness. There's nothing to be done other than making my voice heard in whatever way I can. It's not a big way in the collective sense, but making my voice heard in the world and being aware and conscious of the larger collective, being aware that it's a dream on some level, but when you're in the middle of a dream, it doesn't always help to know that it's a dream. There are a couple of things we can do with dreams. One of them is wake up, which is great. Another of them is to, run into your parents' bedroom and have them comfort you and tell you it's okay, it's just a dream. Another is to watch it the way we watch a great movie. It's really engaging. It's really involving. It makes you feel very much involved in the universe that you inhabit. But when it's feverish or nightmarish, as it can become, waking up seems to be the biggest response. How do I wake up from this, and what do I wake up into? I will share my experience, for better or for worse. What I tend to wake up to is that the dream is real, that reality is beyond the dream, that it's vast and contains the story, that there is a place of deep inner sustenance and comfort that basically says you're going to be okay. There's another place that says, I don't like the dream. There's another place that says, sit down and look out on the mountains and enjoy the moment. There's nothing you can do. All you can do is be. And that's basically what we're pretty good at. But we can also get swept off our sense of being by the sense of interacting with the discomforts that present themselves. What I have come to know in the last several years, and very dramatically in recent times, is that we are the totality. We are the nothingness in which all of this takes place, and we are the somethingness that occurs. We are the formless universe in which there is nothing to react to and no one to react, and we are the universe of doing and being and affecting and changing and transforming that which is around us. And the part, there is an us and there is a no us. In the middle of a fevered dream, it's all about us. It's all about I, me, self, individual, separateness. The deeper place we can all go to is the release of that and the experience of the universal self, if you will. But the universal self does not exist outside the dream. It is part of the dream. It is the totality. And that totality is both liberated and connected to what is. I wish I could just say that it's appropriate to go deep inside and live outside the spectrum of the world we share. And maybe that's fine. Maybe that is fine. And the people I know who are the happiest right now are doing that. They are just in a place of, one of my friends said yesterday, total and absolute denial. and as happy as can be. And the question that keeps coming up for me, and I don't have an answer to this, and I call it a disqualifier, meaning that it may disqualify me as a teacher of the work that I am supposedly teaching. But the question comes up, I am in Germany in 1939, and I'm an awakened being, and these unbelievable forces have been unleashed in the world, and I am aware of them as the worst nightmare, and I'm also aware of them as the what is. Is there a responsibility inside me to do anything? Or do I just be? Do I gather my family and say, let us escape to a freer land? Or do I just sit still and say, this is God's work? And I think there are people of higher spiritual awareness, let's say, who have an answer to that. But I don't. I don't have an answer to it. And that answer, I call it a disqualifier because it may truly disqualify me from everything that I'm teaching, because I am really not certain what the response is, how one responds to the world in which there really is nothing to do except sit still and feel what arises. And what arises may say, move to Canada. Just accept, everything will be fine. But in 1939, that thing that arose had profound consequence for you and everyone you knew. I was talking to Blanche about it this morning, and she said, well, remember Krishna and Arjuna. And Krishna and Arjuna, of those of you who know the Bhagavad Gita, it's a remarkable story. And it's a story of Krishna and his and Arjuna. And Arjuna is a warrior, and Krishna is his charioteer. And there's a battle happening, there's a dividing line in his world, a civil war. And it's a civil war in which, if he fights, he will have to fight his uncles and his cousins. Very much like our own civil war. And Krishna teaches him that you have to accept what's in front of you. That you have to engage in the battle ahead. That is liberation. And that you have to do it with as deep and expansive and an awareness of being, a vast heart that understands even though you are fighting and perhaps slaying the people you love, you are doing it from a place of profound awareness. That you are surrounding the actions that you take with consciousness and presence. That you are engaging the world fully with an awareness of its dream state and its reality. And that you are in it, and you are of it, and you are transcendent of it all at the same time. It's funny because I have a family that lives down south. I'm going to visit them this week. And we are literally on a north-south political divide. It's really interesting. Had we been 100 and so many years ago, 150 years ago, we would have been on this opposite, we would have been Yankees and Confederates. And I go, how could my family be Confederates? How could they believe in those kinds of things? And here I am as a believer in higher noble truth, and they are not. And yet I love them so deeply. I love this, my family, but their belief systems are abhorrent to me. And I'm so grateful we don't have to go to war with each other. But I am feeling what I'm talking about. I'm feeling the divide that exists between people, between nations, between societies, within different cultures of our lives. We are not the same in our ideas of what is and what should be and what is true and what is meaningful. We're different. And we're all of those things. We're all of that. And some of it is awful, and some of it is exquisite and transcendent. And so I wake up often in the middle of the night with an awareness of the battle lines that are drawn, of the defenses, of the abyss that is before us possibly, of the heavens opening up above us. I am aware of the unbelievable dynamic of the fever dream and the nightmare. I'm aware that we are in it and of it and beyond it all at the same time. I am so in love with life and with people and with being and with each of you that when I sit with you on Sunday morning like this, I just feel like this is what life can be. This is what life is. It's what I would think it should be, but is not. But here we are sitting and creating a field of exquisite beauty and tenderness and kindness and engagement and transcendence in a world that's already swirling around us with all sorts of unpleasantries. And yet we do this. And this is kind of the truth that I know. The truth that I know is, in spite of all of this stuff going on, we have this shared goodness or knowingness, presence. And it's manifested in the midst of all of this other crap. And here we are. And what a remarkable gift it is that we share this. And if you're going to exist in a world of polarities, I'm grateful to have this as one of the poles, one of the places to go to. And it not only is one of the places, it's the place I most want to go to. It is other than putting your head in the sand. Putting your head in the sand and denial may work for you until the world explodes around you, or the dream explodes around you. But sitting in this place of shared clarity or presence is another option. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. The world may still turn into what it is. You may still have to go out there and have a war with your cousins and your uncles. But you can do it from a place of thy will be done. It's a line I use almost every week here, because I don't know what else to say. Thy will be done seems to be everything. And this incredible desire to move into transcendence has to be not as a way of avoiding the drama and the dream, but embracing the drama and the dream. Of saying yes to this thing, no matter what it is and no matter how uncomfortable it gets. And trust me, if those of you who've had fevers, high fevers and sweating and chills and shakes and discomforts and probably runny noses and all those things, it's not fun. It's not fun, and it's biological. And trust me, this fever dream of reality is biological. It takes us over. You are not immune to it. You are not immune to it because of your spiritual life. Your spiritual life is not a head in the sand. Your spiritual life is your head open and alert and awake to all there is. That's what this is. And if you're looking to deny and get away from it all, I'm sure there's practices you can find that will give you an opportunity to think that you could do that. But the dream is very insistent. It comes at you with great force and power. It can actually hurt, and it can kill. Can it kill you permanently? Well, according to the larger scheme of things in the world that seems to be present, it cannot kill you. It can only end your particular moment of suffering or pleasure. This is kind of the Groundhog Day, if you will, of existence. We go on and we go on and we go on. If we don't, that's fine. But the appearance is that we come back to do it yet again. And maybe there's some sense of trying to get it right. Maybe it's just to just enjoy it once more, to taste it once more. Or, supposedly, if you're fully liberated, you don't have to come back into this. But I'm not sure that's true. I cannot tell you what is true. I can tell you that I definitely sense this is an infinite and expanding isn't even the right word because it's simultaneously contracting, but it is infinite, eternal existence and non-existence all mixed together. You know, the frustration of non-dualism is that nothing you say is true, and that everything contradicts itself on some fundamental level. But underlying it all is a truth that my grandson sang the other day. So it appears. Merrily, 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 life is but a whatever that is. We'll call it a dream. My mother had another version of it. She said, you know, it's only a movie. It's just a movie. And that's got its own powerful quality too. And, you know, when I would sit and watch a movie and get really scared sitting next to her, she would just put her arm around me and hold me, and I could get through the movie. In a certain sense, our spiritual practice is your cosmic mother putting her arm around you and saying, it's only a movie. It's only a dream. Life is but a dream. And you find comfort in that, and you can get through it. And it's an embrace that may be bigger than anything you can even imagine. It may be ultimate embrace. It may be the one thing that remains true above all others. But that could also be a dream. Who knows? Who knows? All we know, right at this moment, is this, that we are. This very moment is the only thing we know. And I will tell you, this moment is filled with a kind of gratitude of being and a joy in knowing and being with each of you. A gratitude that the universe allows this kind of exchange and stillness and connectedness, and we'll use the word transcendence. Whatever that is, whatever this is so worth it and exquisite. And I think I come to this every week. As you arrive at self, at stillness, at one-pointedness, at center, at depth, every time you get there, it's a huge yes to reality. It's only when you're in the fever that you go, really? This? Can I get out of this? The only thing that comforts is it's just a movie, it's only a dream. And this embrace that holds you tightly and warmly and does love you. That's kind of where this goes. And I wish I could talk in absolutes with absolute assurance that there's more than what I'm saying. I don't know what it is. I do know that in the worst of moments, something way beyond me opens up inside and takes me and says, it's okay. It's okay. So, I share that with you. I said earlier that this all may be disqualifying because maybe, you know, maybe there are absolutes and maybe the great teachers have them and give them to you and they, you know, are freeing by themselves. And so I tell everybody who listens to this and you guys in the room, if that's what you're looking for, God bless. I hope you find it and, you know, share it. Share what you find. I'm not going to talk about absolutes and I'm not going to talk about anything other than whatever this is, we got it. And it seems to be both huge and small, infinite and finite, manifest and unmanifest, and everything I say week by week. It's what it is, and this is it. So, I love you. Thank you for being the gift that you are, for bringing that gift to this space, because I don't know what I would do without you, who are my totality. And you particularly today, this core of beings who show up here, you are everything to me, and I'm so, so honestly grateful for your presence. Thank you. Any questions?
I just want to make a comment, I guess. About, I guess, uncertainty in life. Whatever life is a reflection of my inner uncertainty, which shows up on the outer, and my not being in control of whatever happens, and how uncomfortable that is. And so when I see what's going on and how uncomfortable it makes me, it's kind of a reflection of everything in my life that I have an aversion to, and how I want to crave things to be okay, and how to just observe that and be with what is, as uncomfortable as it is. There's nothing I can do. I mean, I do respond to the Democratic press, or, I do respond to emails. I do what I can in the moment. I do find that my deeper work is really painfully letting myself experience the discomfort that arises when these things happen. And it is very scary.
Well, you're expressing everything I think I was trying to say. So thank you for putting it in such concrete words. It's exactly right. That's where we are, And of course the question comes, who's it scary to? And that becomes the individual.
Yeah.
And the individual self is something, even as it disappears, even if you have an awakening beyond your individual self, the collective self is there.
Yeah.
And what is the collective self? This thing that we all are. It's still a self of some kind, with a capital S, and maybe there's a bigger S self beyond all of that. But whatever the self is, it's aware that it's in conflict. Something is going on right now in it that's not comfortable, and we don't have a choice, and there's not much we can do other than exactly what you said, which is accept it. And acceptance means accepting the uncomfortable and saying, okay.
Yeah.
And that's a technique. It's a practice. It's
Yeah,
really
it's
what
practice.
we do. And some people are better at it than others. Some people keep losing themselves in the drama, and some people keep going, okay, take a breath, take a breath, take a breath, relax, be. That's the practice. And maybe there's a point where you wake up and you just don't have to do any of that. You just are. That's all fine. It's just a ground of being where you're just always, it's fine. But like I tried to allude to, again, being in a situation that's really cataclysmic, can you just be? Yes, I think so. And will that direct you to do something? Maybe, I think it would. And then follow the directive. That may be the way to make all this happen. And if the directive is misguided or wrong, or you find yourself in the wrong situation, then it's a bigger acceptance, a really big acceptance. And some of those acceptances are beyond anything most human beings are capable of, and yet we're asked to do it.
Yeah.
It's massive. It's massive. The human condition is massive, and it's universal in scope, and we are all part of it. And you look at occasional people who really demonstrate unbelievable skill in navigating a world of impossible choices. And you look at them, and they are there as little guideposts for us about how that can be done. And even in the great spiritual unflowering that I think is starting to take place, we are being challenged in ways that are for me, very new, and they are really fascinating, because it's not a personal suffering so much as it is what I would call, and what my friend Bart talked to him the other day, who's a very awakened guy, he said, look, we're all dealing with universal pathos. This
Yeah.
is the pathos of the universe, of the world. And Buddha just called it suffering.
Yeah, and I think the more awake we become, the more sensitive we are, the more we feel this so strongly.
Yes, yes, exactly right. And so awakening is not an escape,
No.
as far as I can tell. And for those whom it is an escape, God bless. That's, terrific. But it's not what I can teach at this point in time, which, again, using the word disqualify, it may be a great disqualifier. On the other hand, this idea of acceptance, there are people who call it radical acceptance, it's really powerful teaching, and it does expand your humanity and your universality and your spirituality. It just makes it bigger and vaster and remarkable. And we are all being asked now to do that, with some people choosing the denial route, which I get, some people just saying, it'll be what it'll be. Some people say we want change. Some people say we don't want change. I mean, everybody's in a different place in their own fear zone or their own hope zone, and they're all trying out different things. We're going to get what we get, yes, and we're going to have to live with what we get. And I said to Blanche the other day, I said, what happens November 3rd if things go not the way we have imagined? What exactly, how do we live? Or more significantly, if people are suddenly being deported. Do you stand up and say, that's not right? Or do you just sink back into the background because it's safe and not? But we are being brought into a world of real confrontation with a kind of hard reality.
Yeah.
That's both wonderful and terrifying and essential. So we're all in this together. Like I say, sitting around in a group like this campfire of being is so special, because it allows us to renew ourselves in something really potent and real, and to have that lift us up no matter what happens. I can think of like the early Christians when they were going to the lions and all of that stuff, what that community must have meant to them, because it's the only thing you've got, and to do it all by yourself is hard. We are a community, and that community serves itself and it serves everyone in it. And it's a really great gift, and I don't know what else there is.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you for that. It was beautiful. Okay. Thank you, guys. Next week, yep, and onward.